So, today we will do some practice and see how one can map TTPs from sentences. So, this type of question and such practice will help you for exam preparation. So, I thought to have some practice with you. So, I request everyone to go to menti.com and put that code to enter into the quiz. Go to menti.com, use this code 12362939. We will see the first question. The first statement is the group has used square injection for initial compromise. So, to get into the victim infrastructure, attacker have used square injection attack. So, there are 4 options. First one is T1190, which stands for exploit public facing application. The second one is brute force attack. The third one is command and scripting interpreter, and the fourth one is drive by compromise. So, you have to select one option which reflects behavior or attack patterns present in this sentence. Okay. So, unfortunately, majority is wrong, that this is not command and scripting interpreter. Actually, if you think more about it, that there is attack being performed which is SQL injection. How this SQL injection one perform? Like there will be one application, web application, which will be target for attacker, and entry point on that web application, attacker will perform SQL injection to get into the victim infrastructure. So, this reflects this TTP exploiting public facing application. So, there is a application on victim end which is public facing, and because this is a public facing application, attacker is able to interact with the application, and leveraging this opportunity, attacker is performing this attack. So, we have no information given in this sentence how they are performing SQL injection. If they have mentioned that they are using some script or something, then one can go with this and this both. But if nothing is mentioned, we have no idea how they have done, but we have only idea that they have performed SQL injection using some web application. Any doubt? So, we have no, this will be a wrong option, and this exploiting public facing application will be the correct one. Is it clear? So, we will go to next question now. One more thing I would like to explain this TTP, drive by compromise. So, I will, even though these options are wrong, I will explain this TTP so that you can get familiar of these things. So, drive by compromise happens when attacker try to convince victim to do some action, and because of that action victim may get compromised, such as you see advertisement, malicious advertisement attack. Sometimes attackers run malicious advertisement, adding some malicious JavaScript code in the advertisement which they publish through Google ad, and through that advertisement they get, once you click on the ad link or advertisement picture, that executable JavaScript code will get executed in your browser and they will get into your system. So, in the case where attacker is trying to convince victim to do something, like the victim is driven by attacker, then it will come as a drive by compromise. Okay? So, the next question is, the group has used search order hijacking to force Dreamweaver to load a malicious DLL. We have multiple options. First one is hijacking execution flow, and this technique has a sub-technique DLL search order hijacking. The second one is process injection. The third one is event trigger execution, and the fourth one is pre-OS boot. So, these are the 4 TTPs. One of them belongs representing the sentence, you have to choose. You have to read sentence carefully, understand the meaning and connecting with the options given. I believe everyone is answered. So, if any one of you can explain me then that why we go with this event triggered execution. Anyone out of the 7 people? See, we will be having a discussion, otherwise I will be explaining the things going forward and we may not have a fruitful discussion, because understanding this sentence meaning, understanding TTP's meaning, mapping them requires brainstorming and discussion and practice also. such type of question will come in exam, and then if you do not have practiced much, did not have discussed much, so you may misunderstood the statement and may go with the wrong answer. Okay. No idea? Event trigger execution? Okay. So, let me explain what exactly this TTP is. This TTP, this behavior is representing a pattern where attackers set some activity based on Windows event, like they will set execution of some binary if a event happens in the WMI, Windows Management Instrumentation. I do not remember exactly the full form WMI, where we set the events, how events are supposed to execute. So, one can set that once this screensaver starts, execute this event. So, execution which is driven by some event, like triggered by some event, will be coming into this T1546. So, while reading this sentence, we are not getting any sense that there is any execution is triggering because of any event, Windows event. Rather than we can see that the execution flow of the system is being hijacking, and even this word, this search order hijacking matches here. So, what happens in search order hijacking, whenever any application is running in the system, so they require some supporting DLLs to function. So, what Windows does, they search this DLL on the legitimate path where this attacker's supporting materials has been placed in the machine. What attackers does, they place their own DLL with their own name, such as assume for TeamViewer, there is one DLL named as TeamViewer.dll. Just for example. So, what attacker does, that their own malicious DLL, the name is as a TeamViewer.dll, they will remove that original legitimate DLL and place their malicious DLL on the same folder, the path where this OS is going to search for. Okay. So, in that case, they are trying to hijack the search order of the OS window machine, and this is specific case for TeamViewer. In this case, they are using TeamViewer supporting DLL, they are replacing TeamViewer supporting DLL with their malicious one. Is it clear? If you have any doubt, you can ask me in between. Okay?
Which technique is
this? This is T1574 stands for hijacking execution flow. There are several sub techniques in this technique. The first one is DLL search order hijacking, which aligns with this sentence. Okay? This process injection, this is usually occurs when attackers place their malicious code in a memory of a process. See, any process, if it is running in the system, they acquire some set of memory. So, if there is some memory blank, like the whole block is not captured, then they place their own malicious code in that some set of memory block, where when this process will execute, along with their own execution code, they will add those malicious code also in their execution. And attacker will let that legitimate process to do malicious thing for them. Okay? And the fourth one is pre-OS boot. In this TTP, attackers places their malicious code or malicious executable in boot section. So, whenever this machine starts booting, that malicious code will get active. This is all kind of making persistent connection with the victim machine. Is it clear? So, the next question is, the Lazarus group has acquired domains related to their champion to act as a distribution point and C2 channel. So, you have to select one possible TTP which is reflecting in this sentence or this behavior. I am assuming that people have practiced this mapping sentences to TTPs. You have done your assignment too, because these things is will be having a major part in the mid-sem. It would be really fruitful discussion if you have why you are choosing these options, if you can explain and justify your point. I might be wrong, you might be wrong, we can discuss and we can come on same conclusion. If you think that this option is correct, and if you are marking any option, means you have some logic or reasoning behind that. So, if you put that logic behind in front of us, then we may, either you may get a clarity or I may get a clarity. Okay. So, majority have answered correct, that this behavior representing that acquiring infrastructure technique for like preparing for attack, and inside this technique there is a sub technique web services to be very specific, that they are acquiring set of domains or domains for either distribution and creating the C2 multiple C2 servers. But some people have chosen this search open website or domains T1593. This techniques attackers uses to gather information about victim. So, they see some open websites or domain, if there is something like matching with their victim's domain, they can get that, or they can acquire access if there is a third way, if they can acquire access of the victim infrastructure from a third party or from some not a direct access kind of. And the fourth one is developing capabilities. In this technique, attackers try to develop capabilities to perform the attack. So, like developing of malwares or some 0-day vulnerability exploit can come into this technique TTP. Okay. Any doubt? If you have any doubt, please ask. So, the next question is that the malware modifies the Windows firewall to allow incoming connection or disable it entirely. We have 4 options, you have to choose one. So, for today's this quiz, I am going with easy sentences. Tomorrow we will come with some more confusing, and there will be some sentences which will be mapping more than one TTP. So, such type of scenarios we will see tomorrow. Great. So, everyone has answered correctly that this comes under impaired defenses, and within this technique we have a sub technique disable or modify system firewall. This name suggests only, but if this sub technique has not given, then also you have to understand that there is a defense mechanism which is firewall and which is being impaired by these attackers or the malware. Along with this, we have different options which I will explain just to have an idea that other TTP was ingress tool transfer. In the ingress tool transfer, attackers download subsequent malwares from their C2 server through C2 channel. In the data from network shared drive, in this technique T1039, attackers collect data from all shared drives in the victim infrastructure. Then in T1135 network shared discovery, attackers or malwares discover what all shared networks drive or the network files or folders victim has. Okay? Are you understanding? So, the next question is Magic Hound, which is an APT group, has copied tools within a compromised network using RDP. Please see this sentence carefully. Choose one option which belongs more, which represents more this attacking behavior. You can discuss each other if you have any doubt, or you can discuss with me if you have any concern. Okay. So, if someone can explain me then that why we go with this lateral tool transfer? Anyone? Please, yes. Okay. Anyone, why ingress tool transfer? Just now I explained why ingress tool transfer. Okay. So, just now I explained that ingress tool transfer is a behavior in which attackers download or capture subsequent malwares from the C2 server, but as your friend said that you can see here that the tools has been copied within compromised network infrastructure within victim system. It means that tool is already placed on one of the victim infrastructure machine, and from that machine they are using RDP connection to transfer tool within that same network. So, in this attack pattern they are not communicating with this external network to get the tool, And for this such type of behavior, there is a specific technique named as lateral tool transfer. So, the correct answer is lateral tool transfer. You have to understand difference between ingress tool transfer and lateral tool transfer. So, similarly, there are some techniques which are close to each other and might be confusing for you during exam if you have not seen and understand the differences between these techniques. Is it clear? So, they are transferring tool laterally within the network only, that is why name itself represents it. Then remote system discovery is a TTP when attackers try to discover what all remote systems victim infrastructure is connected with. The last one, account discovery, when they discover what all accounts is user account present on the machine. When they list such total user account on the machine, then this TTP reflects. Is it clear? Okay. So, now the next question is, the malware has collected the computer name and OS version from a compromised machine. Okay. So, if someone can explain me then why this system owner or user discovery reflect this attack pattern which mentioned in this sentence? Is there any user discovery at what are users present on the machine and who is the owner, who is the admin is being represented in this sentence? No, right? So, this option will be incorrect. So, we can see that they are collecting information related to the system, that what the computer name is, what all OS version has been installed on the machine. So, there is no discovery related to the network configuration or neither network configuration nor system owner or user discovery. Okay? So, the correct option is the system information discovery. Also sometimes attackers list what all processes are running. So, like before masquerading their malicious executable with the legitimate process name, they do this discovery thing to understand that what name we can go with. Also, like for before doing process injection, they do this discovery to understand what process they can target to exploit. Okay? Now, the next question is MenuPass, who is an APT group, has compressed files before exfiltration using tar and rar. The attacker has compressed all collected files before exfiltration. You have to map the corresponding TTP. Done? Okay. Now you have to explain me why data encoding? Please. I am expecting any answer, whatever you are thinking you can discuss, otherwise you will not get a clarity. Why data encoding? Okay. We have to understand difference between encryption, compression and encoding. Okay. Before going with the options which includes these terms, encoding in which we transform the look, you can say, I am not getting correct word, but the way it looks like if we changing, that comes into the encoding. When we do encryption using some key and there is some decryption techniques, also even encoding we have decoding techniques. So, that will come under encryption, but when we are keeping data as it is, just removing the metadata, not removing, compressing it in some smaller size, then it will come as in a compression. Okay? So, encoding means if we have data and we transformed its look, how it look like. So, this option is standalone, we have to discard that this is not like comes under the compression, but there is a confusion between obfuscated files or information and archive collected data, which you have to answer. Anyone can explain why this and other can explain this, please. Any insights, whatever you are thinking, why you chose this option, why you chose this option, just explain. Okay, if they are, because they are using TAR and RAR to compression, that is why you went with archiving collected data, right? Okay. What about obfuscation then? Isn't it this compression comes in this obfuscation category also? Sorry? Okay. Any other option? Yes, but that compression also comes under this obfuscation. Okay. So, we have to understand that which tactics it belongs to. This obfuscation comes under defense evasion, okay, and this archive collected data comes under exfiltration. Okay. This obfuscation file and information represents that obfuscating the files by having a aim or the goal to evade the defense mechanism. Also, even in this they are trying to evade, they do not want to get seen as that we are exfiltrating this data, but this represents that if some malicious files or payloads is coming and they are trying to evade, and this comes if some data is going outside the network and they are compressing. So, the can be. That can be larger also. So, they do compress and send the payloads on the victim machine. So, if they are doing that behavior, then it will comes under this obfuscation file and information, because they have obfuscated some file or information to hide from defense mechanism, and here they are doing compression for the purpose of exfiltrating the data, because here the archiving and compression is being done on collected data like victims data, and here in the obfuscation the obfuscation methods will be performed on the attacker's payload or exploit. Sorry? Defense evasion and obfuscation, yes, exfiltration can go in parallel, yes. Yeah, but you have to understand this obfuscation being done on what? So, this is mostly being done on the exploits which they send, and this is being done on the victim data which is about to get exfiltrated to this attacker's server. Sorry, can you please repeat?
If I am looking to stay in that system and extract more data, then I like to be hidden, right?
Yes.
Even if I am exfiltrating.
Yes, so these two behaviors can go together, but here the sentences which we have given, here we are not talking about anything evading the defenses. Like here this menu pass is not trying to hide itself by using any method. So, these two things can go parallel, but the methods which is being used to get evade from defense mechanism and for this exfiltration will be two different. Is it clear? Okay. Now, the next question is oil rig, which is also an APT group, has used brute force technique, which is too obvious for these options, to obtain credential. So, this comes under credential access tactic. Attacker is trying to access credential using some method mentioned in this statement. So, the majorities are correct that these options represent this brute forcing method, brute force. This is the correct option. There is no network sniffing is being done. Network sniffing means when attackers try to capture traffic, network traffic of the victim infrastructure to understand and to see what all things is being communicated and being transit in the network. So, that comes when in network sniffing. Credentials from password store. So, there are some password managers or there are some application who saves your password, like many people saves password, they say password in browser. So, such kind of stores may helpful for attackers to collect the credential, to get the access of credential. So, this T1555 represents this technique. So, there is no such methods is being represented in this sentence, rather than attacker is brute forcing the credential, then this brute force option will be correct. Okay. Mostly techniques, they explain themselves by the name itself. If you understand the name, you can go with it. Now, the next question is, oil rig has used PuTTY to access compromised system. PuTTY is to get a remote access using SSH. In the Windows machine, it is a software. Okay. So, majority have answered this T1210, exploitation of remote services. You have to explain me why. Anyone? Why this option? Please explain. There are 16 people who is going with this option. So, please let me know, please explain why you think that this getting access of the compromised machine using PuTTY represents this exploitation of remote services. Come on. No idea? Did you choose randomly? You like this option? Okay. Exploitation of remote services represents when attackers exploits or they find any vulnerability, they use that remote services to either invade or get access or do some malicious action. So, when is there any remote services present on the victim machine and they are exploiting that remote service, like they are finding any vulnerabilities or any 0 days or this DLLs one which we saw, they were using TeamViewer, they were remote service. So, they are exploiting in some way that remote service to do some malicious action, but if you see in this sentence they are just using PuTTY to get the access, they are not exploiting it. PuTTY is for giving the remote access, they are using that with some credential which they found in some other stage. So, rather than going with this option seems to be more feasible, that remote services, this techniques remote services T1021 represents that attackers leverages remote services to use or access the system. And in this remote services we have various options to getting that remote access. So, one is SSH, they are not doing anything with that remote service, it is as we do access, they are doing just same. And the third option is remote system discovery, in which this, I guess we discussed this, they list out and see what all remote systems are connected with in the victim. So, this will not be the option. Is it clear difference between this and this? So, there will be some confusing TTPs which you need to get. Once you understand, do practice, you will get to know which TTP is conflicting with which and for which set of TTPs you have to be more careful while choosing the option. Because I believe such kind of confusing options will be there in midsem. Okay. The next question is, Turla, which is also a APT group, has exfiltrated stolen files to OneDrive and 4 shared. Please choose correct option given here. There are 4 options we have. Okay. So, majority have answered correct, that the exfiltration over web services, this cloud and this OneDrive is nothing but a web service. So, in this behavior, attacker is exfiltrating or sending victim data on one of the web service. So, we can go with this exfiltration over web services. This exfiltration over physical medium, this happens when attackers physically connected with the victim infrastructure and they are transferring data, like transferring data into USB or any hard drive. So, if there is an insider threat in the organization, this may happen. But if attacker sitting remotely somewhere and they are exfiltrating data, so in this, for this statement there is a web service is being used, so we will go with this option. So, there is no physical medium between attacker and victim in this case. Okay? Clear? So, we have other one is scheduled transfer, in which attackers schedule transferring data, like in the infrastructure. If there is an organization, there is a high chance that there will be no or less communication in the non-office hour. So, mostly attackers schedule their transfer for some unusual time when there is not much activity in the network, or even sometimes when there is a lot of activity, that there is a busy network, and in that busy network they may do this transferring thing. So, once they schedule transfer based on the victim and the scenario, that behavior comes under this scheduling the transfer. And the automated exfiltration, when they used any automated tool or any automated scripts to automatically transfer whatever files they are discovering, just transfer it to the C2 server. Okay? Yes. So, there will be there will be insights and the context how they are exfiltrating the data. So, here there is no insight. This is just a statement that they are using some cloud service to exfiltrate the data. So, there is no insights regarding how exactly they are transferring. This is just they are transferring to some destination. Okay. So, tomorrow we will see some sentences in which the more than one TTP is mapped, and in such case you have to choose multiple options, all TTPs which belongs and being represented in the sentences. Okay. Also, if we have time, yeah, we have 4 minutes. So, we can just see UKC introduction. So, how you guys are preparing for midsem? How you are doing practice? Are you going through the MITRE knowledge base website? Why? Why? That is the only resource you have. You should go. Means my suggestion is just, this is just a random suggestion, but if you wish you can take, you should go to, where is this group? Yeah, this attackers groups list, these are the all APT groups. You can go randomly with any group, like APT 19, this is a Chinese group. You see what they have done till yet. So, there is one option, this technique used. You see that this technique, why this technique is represented, what exactly they did. There is a list of behaviors which these attackers groups has performed in the past, their corresponding TTPs. If you are not understanding, go to this TTP web page and see what exactly this represents, go back, see what exactly this sentence represents, match both and understand why this sentence and this behavior has been mapped to this TTP. There are around I believe more than 150 group, 143, sorry. There are total 143 groups. If you do this exercise with the all groups, you will good to go for midsem. And even doing this practice, you will get to understand which techniques are being used frequently. Because all these 200 like 190 plus techniques are not being used like with the same pattern, with the same frequency, no. The popular techniques you will get to know once you do this exercise. Okay? Now, I will just introduce UKC in today's class, and then we will see detail in tomorrow class. Also, we will do some little bit practice in the next class, because today we the whole time get into the practices only. Yes, UKC stands for Unified Kill Chain. This is also a kill chain version in which all attackers behavior and steps has been listed and framework. So, this UKC is towards raising resilience against cyber attack. Before we go with the UKC, we have to understand what is this resilience comes for. What is cyber resilience? How we say that one organization is resilient towards any cyber attack? Any idea? This is just a common word, resilience. Okay. So, resilience represents the capability or ability to protect the infrastructure, this is which is obvious in defense, plus no infrastructure can be 100% secure. So, that will be attacked, infrastructure will get attacked for sure, but what ability victim has to get back, to resume their operations. So, the critical infrastructures, they needs to have high resilience and to any kind of cyber attack, because they are people and the humans and the majority populations dependent on that, and these services cannot get hold for the longer, like the power plant or the water treatment plant. So, this resilience comes in the cyber resilience represents the organization's ability to come back. First one is obvious protection, and whatever ability they have to defend and detect or protect from any cyber attack. But once that attack happens, what ability they have to get back on the system. Okay. So, this is what cyber resilience is, what I believe that you need to be aware of before understanding this unified kill chain. So, unified kill chain similar to this Lockheed Martin cyber kill chain and the MITRE attack, we have several stages you can say. Here there are all 18 we had I guess 14 tactics in MITRE attack, 7 in CKC, LM CKC. For UKC we have 18, okay. And we will see why it comes, what was the pros and cons of the CKC and the MITRE attack in next class, and we will discuss how this is leveraging over these two and why UKC is important, and what about if UKC comes, whether this MITRE attack and LM CKC importance get reduced or not, which answer is obvious no. All these things are used in different cases and different scenario. It's just because LM CKC represents something else on the table, MITRE attack represents something else on the table, and there is something else which UKC framework takes on the table. Okay? So, we will see all this detail in the next class and we will do practice. So, I am expecting that practice more and expecting the answers, majority of answer and more answer, and most of the answers should be correct by from your side in the next class, and we will see tomorrow. Today we will wrap up now. Okay? Thank you for your time.